today. This is we think it's one of the really hot subjects out there with our customers. As if you don't know Champion Solutions Group, we've been a premier partner for VMware for well over 10 years. We've been doing this since version 1 of ESX, and we've actually done virtualization, server virtualization for over 1,200 of our clients throughout the United States, helping them virtualize their on-premise hardware, software, and applications. And now with the cloud, we think this is really the next evolution of VMware, is now taking advantage of this new public cloud, which gives you the ability to develop a hybrid cloud between what you have running on premise and what's going to be running up in the cloud. And we also have Dave Fivey, who heads up all of our VMware effort here. Dave's going to be helping me out today with answering some of the more technical questions. Dave's really got a fantastic background in all of the VMware products, but specifically vCloud Director and the hybrid service. So he'll be able to, hopefully, if you have some technical questions, we'll be able to answer them for you today, or at worst case, sit down with you individually and actually go through that. And then we have Matt Hines out of Austin, Texas, who's one of VMware's cloud specialists. He's actually going to be going over the information about the hybrid cloud offering, how it works, and some of the internal functions that you're going to be able to take advantage. So I'm just going to walk through the presentation here and give you a little bit of information about Champion. Like I said, we've been around since 1979, and we are a premier partner with VMware, but we really have 5 areas, megatrends, that we concentrate on. One of them being mobility, and obviously cloud fits right into that strategy, whether it be from running your servers and your desktops in the cloud, all the way through applications, storage, and everything else that's available out there. Mobility is one of the key subjects that we're speaking with CIOs and CTOs, CEOs about for their mobile workforce and how they can make their people more productive. Obviously, virtualization core to what Champion does, especially with VMware, and from a server standpoint, from a desktop standpoint, we're really behind their end user computing, their Horizon Suite, View products, Mirage, really the whole package that VMware has to offer, along with their software-defined data center, and obviously, what we're talking about today, the cloud, which plays really strongly into the new VMware strategy. Collaboration is a big part of what our customers are asking for, whether it be giving them the ability of their disparaged workforce that's all over the place, being able to collaborate on presentations to customers and offerings that are out there. Collaboration, a big part of it. And then you'll find out that managed IT in the cloud is going to be a huge benefit that Champion can add to not only give you that hybrid cloud, but also give you visibility into how it's performing, what patches, what patch levels you should be at, and everything. And we'll actually go over that as part of the presentation today, some of the value that Champion can add to VMware's hybrid cloud offering. As you can see, we were proud to accept the VMware Partner of the Year for Infrastructure in 2012. We have a lot of awards around cloud and around virtualization. So when VMware actually came out with this offering, we were actually selected as one of 26 Lighthouse partners. There's over 19,000 VMware partners in the United States, and we were luckily selected by VMware to be able to do this program from the beginning and be able to offer it to our customers and all the customers that are out there. So with that, we can go over the agenda that Matt is actually going to be doing here in a second. We're going to be talking about the common challenges of the hybrid cloud, how it works, how you can now expand your network in there, the service offerings, because there are a few different ways of getting the hybrid cloud from VMware, some of the use cases, some of the ways people are using it today in their environment to enhance their offering that they have today to their end users. We'll summary, and we'll also have some next steps out there. So Matt, I'm going to hand it over to you, and if you want to kick this thing off.
Perfect, I appreciate it. And as mentioned, this is Matt Hines. I am with VMware working as a cloud specialist out of Austin, Texas. So to maybe preface the conversation, we definitely wanted to address really what really are the most, driving considerations for customers to adopt some form of cloud strategy. And what we've started to notice is that really there's been really a gap between the lines of businesses and IT. Lines of business are requiring faster deployment times and accelerated technology to really drive the business forward. And at times, IT is mostly focused on really the day-to-day maintenance and be more reactive to the lines of business. So really what the goal of the hybrid cloud service and really a lot of cloud technologies is how do we enable our customers and specifically IT to be proactive within the lines of business and really be able to support the organization as they really expect. So if you want to hit the next slide. We'll touch on this again pretty briefly, but these are what we're seeing as really prime considerations for customers moving to the cloud. So really touching on that point of time to market, how quickly can you deploy a new application that's being demanded from accounting, the sales team, marketing? Do you have the infrastructure on hand? And if you don't, how long does that typically take to deploy? In the cloud, obviously, we can turn that around in minutes. Taking a look at your data center. How are you planning for the future, whether it be future capacity planning and ensuring that you have the appropriate infrastructure to support the business? As well, if you might be entering different regional markets, whether it be nationally or internationally, how would that work if you had data center presence not only in America, but in Europe, Asia, South America? And lastly, how are you really looking at funding different IT projects? Typically, traditionally, a lot of IT organizations are shelling out thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars up front for infrastructure, but what if we could take a shift and turn IT almost into as a service where customers can really pay on a monthly driven model? So really, I think one of the things to maybe hit on initially is what is our hybrid cloud service? What VMware is now delivering is an infrastructure as a service platform for our customers to leverage their existing on-premise vSphere investments and migrate those virtual machines into the cloud. And we'll really touch on some of the different use cases. But at the highest level, it's an infrastructure as a service platform owned and operated on VMware to really give our customers the data center extension they really require. So be able to tap into resources on demand for when you really need them. And really sticking with the brand that a lot of customers have known and trusted and supported their business on today. And as well, kind of sticking to that same theme, how about a common support number for not only your local infrastructure, but as well your cloud environment. So with the hybrid cloud service, I think it's important to really touch on how we deliver this cloud. Taking a few steps back, cloud's been seen traditionally on a model where customers, I've seen a pay-go type model where customers can really provision small, medium, large VMs, pay based around utilization, and traditionally it's created a lot of hurdles for customers in appropriately not only managing their infrastructure, but as well as budgeting. So paying based around utilization can typically tend to have our customers' bills spiral out of control. And that's where we took a step back, looking at ways to deliver the cloud service, and came out with really these two different models around the dedicated cloud and virtual private cloud. And realistically, in both models, what we will do is work with our customers around their specific application requirements. Take a look at the different workloads, how much CPU, RAM, and storage is really required for our customers to run in a cloud service. And what we will do is provision, essentially almost like a virtual data center. We'll provision a pool of resources for our customers to really use on demand and use as they really see fit. So for instance, if you look at the right side of the screen, our virtual private cloud, this is where the majority of our customers are starting out, because this is your very traditional multi-tenant environment. And what you see on this screen blocked off is really the initial footprint to get started in the VMware cloud offering. So you see 20 gigs of virtual RAM, 5 gigahertz of vCPU, 2 terabytes of storage, 10 megs of internet, which is burstable up to 50 megs, and 2 public IPs. So basically, this is your entry point to build a cloud service offering for your organization. And as you can imagine, many of our customers need requirements beyond that initial physically isolated and fully isolated in terms of networking. So we really take the virtualization technology from the server level, keeping everything highly available, abstracting resources, pooling them together, and automating to really drive efficiencies and high availability, but we're also bringing that to the networking and as well as the storage. So again, typically an entry point for our customers is within the virtual private cloud, because there's a lot of wide range of use cases that we can touch on a little bit. And kind of moving backwards into the dedicated cloud, it's realistically exactly as it sounds. It's fully isolated in terms of the compute. So we will actually have a dedicated host for our customers, typically for clients who have strict regulatory or compliance concerns where they can't share any infrastructure. And so we'll have dedicated hardware sitting there for our customers to really tap into and use as they need. So the minimum configuration in the dedicated cloud is obviously a little bit larger. So starting out, same model where you would grow in these increments, but this is the minimum entry point with 30 gigahertz of virtual CPU, 120 gigs of RAM, 6 terabytes of storage, and starts out with 50 megs of internet, which is burstable, and 3 public IPs. So if customers need to grow and scale, they can essentially choose components around CPU and RAM or storage independently and really customize to what their specific needs are. So realistically, in a summary, both instances, customers subscribe to a pool of resources, can grow and expand as they need, and in both models, we're really driving high availability, ensuring the maximum uptime for our customers by bringing the virtualization technology from not only the server level, but to the storage and networking components.
So Matt, this is Kevin. Usually at this point, my customers are usually asking me two questions out there. Number one of their biggest concerns is security. I don't know if you could go over just a little bit about how VMware has secured this environment, maybe what, for instance, what compliance regulations it meets or exceeds. And then the other big thing is bandwidth. Those are usually the two big questions that I get from my customers at this point, saying, well, how secure is my data? How secure are the applications? And what type of bandwidth am I going to need? I'm usually on a LAN when it comes to my VMware environment. Now I'm talking about going over my WAN connection. Can you give me any information there?
Definitely. So some great questions and points, and I'll hit on all of them for you. So when it comes to security and compliance, as you can imagine, we've definitely done our due diligence to ensure that our customers' data is physically safe, as well as when it's actually within our data centers. So we have gone through the processes of audits in terms of SSAE 16 certifications, ISO, HIPAA, and there's a few others on the roadmap. As you can imagine, they take a while to knock off one by one. So we realistically have gone to precautions to ensure that we have all the appropriate certification for our customers. And one of the ways that you're kind of relating it to bandwidth and security, one of the nice things is that with the way our customers basically connect to our data centers. So you will need to set up an IPsec VPN connection into our data center, and it'll allow you to really import all your same network and security permissions that you're already using internally. So not only will you be able to extend your layer 2 network and use your same IP addresses, but all the same network and security permissions that you have internally, more or less, you can bring them into our data center. So obviously your data will be...
This is Dave Pivey, if I could extend on that real quick.
Yep.
Just to be clear, the IPsec obviously won't extend layer 2 for those of you that are textbooks, but the good news is that there's another option as well, which is basically what's referred to as stretch deploy, which will extend layer 2, which is pretty unique for the VCHS offering. So that basically what it means in English is that you will not have to change IP addressing for machines that you're planning on migrating out there, which is pretty significant. So Matt just thought it was worth mentioning.
Yep, it's a great point. And as a lot of this relates to bandwidth, so a lot of that comes down to taking a look at the applications. Obviously, when an application is running internally within the LAN, customers will be expecting certain performance. So we go through the process as the Champions team would as well, to take a really deep look at your application's performance requirements and ensure that we allocate the appropriate amount of bandwidth within our data centers. So as mentioned, you can set up a IPsec VPN connection into our data centers, but as well, customers can drop in dedicated lines like MPLS connections.
Well, thanks, Matt.
Yeah, not a problem.
So are there certain workloads that work better in the dedicated cloud as compared to the virtual?
Yeah, great question. So when it comes to the dedicated cloud, typically we see customers, obviously with strict compliance reasons, to move into the dedicated hardware, but as well, typically larger performing and heavy hitting applications can be better fit in our dedicated model. In our virtual private cloud, we really have a gamut of customers using different applications, but typically our larger customers are utilizing the dedicated cloud service. So when you actually look at this screen to kind of expand on the way the resource pool model is constructed and the way you can really provision as you need it, it just kind of gives an example that you can allocate all those resources to essentially one virtual machine, or chop it up in different components and pieces. For instance, allocating 4 gigs of RAM and 1 gigahertz of virtual CPU to 6 VMs and distribute that across. So a lot of different creative ways to utilize the cloud service, and that's where I like to think of it as essentially a virtual data center for our customers to use it as their needs really require.
And these sizes that we're seeing, these are like the entry level. You can add resources as you need them in your cloud environment, right?
Exactly. So the components on the left, basically within the dedicated model, our storage, for instance, starts out at 6 terabytes and would grow in 6 terabyte increments. And the CPU and RAM, they grow together in the same increments of 30 gigahertz of CPU and 120 gigs of RAM. So essentially the building blocks to construct your dedicated cloud.
And Matt, for customers to go ahead and move that forward, there is a central management portal, right? The My VMware portal, I believe it's called, that they can go out there and manage these licenses.
Yeah, exactly. So a couple things to bring up on that. One, when it comes to licensing, nothing you need from your end needs to be changed. But to actually manage the infrastructure, we provide a web-based user interface, which I think we have a slide on shortly that we'll show. But it's a web-based user interface that's back-ended by vCloud Director. And through that interface, you can manage your entire environment as you would locally. And as well, you can set permissions and access rights for certain users. And as it relates to adding on additional components and purchasing components, all that can be done through the interface. And current deployment times, or provisioning times, are under 4 hours to add on additional resources.
And the public IP addresses are, for instance, I noticed in the dedicated you can get 3 with the starter. Can you increase those also?
Yep, exactly. So you can increase public IP addresses as you need, and again, all that can be done through calling your champion's rep, or calling VMware, or on your own through the management portal to have quicker turnaround times.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, not a problem. So this is very similar to the dedicated slide model, but I think it just is good to paint a picture of the different possibilities of the way the virtual private cloud and dedicated cloud can be used. Realistically, chopping them up into as many virtual machines as you need and like. So a lot of customers are using the service for a test dev environment, sometimes a 3-tier web application. So a lot of different scenarios that you can really provision these virtual machines and allocate resources to your specific requirements.
And Matt, on the back end of your, I know most people are running either version 4, 4.1, 5, 5.1, 5.5, hopefully if they're up to date. Is there a certain version for communication that they have to be at in their local VMware environment to take advantage of all the great bells and whistles that you guys have built into the hybrid cloud?
So that's a good point. So actually, no needs for upgrades from our customers' local data centers. Within our hybrid cloud service, we will provide all the infrastructure, the VMware licensing and components, but no need for any changes from our customer side, which is pretty important. And then it's actually, what also is pretty unique is that essentially as well, you don't have to be a VMware customer to use this hybrid cloud service. The migrations are a lot more seamless and simplistic if you're already moving virtual machines from VMware to our hybrid cloud service. But for customers using Hyper-V or physical servers, we can help migrate those VMs into our cloud.
Oh, so that's great. So for those customers that maybe haven't done it on their local site, they could take advantage of the hybrid cloud and maybe move some of their workload into virtualization without having to make that big upfront investment for hardware and storage and licensing. They can just move right into and maybe test applications up in the cloud before they make the jump on-premise.
Yep, exactly. And that's actually brings up a very good point that when a lot of our customers are looking at renewing, and upgrading their VMware licensing, a lot of customers are starting to go the avenue of looking at the hybrid cloud service because essentially if you're going through a tech refresh of your servers or storage, why not look at VMware hybrid cloud service where not only do we provide the storage, the networking, the servers, load balancers, you name it, VMware licensing, everything is included for our customers so they don't have to go through not only that upgrade process every 3 to 5 years, but as well managing that infrastructure.
Well, that's pretty fantastic. Now, I noticed on these slides that the other one said about 60 virtual machines in the dedicated. This one says about 10 virtual machines. Are those hard and fast numbers, or do some people get more or less virtual machines depending upon the configuration?
Yep, so it's all depending on a customer's environment. This is typically what we're just seeing as approximately an average of what customers can fit within each sort of model. So within that minimum configuration of the virtual private cloud, typically we see customers comfortably fit 5 to 10 VMs. Oh. And then, of course, as they need to grow and scale, we can add on additional compute, memory, and storage to expand that footprint.
Okay. All right, here's the next one. Go ahead, Matt.
No, not a problem. So, when it comes down to, the hybrid cloud service, I think really the main message is really the consistency between platforms. So, traditionally, when a lot of our customers were looking to migrate their virtual machines into other cloud providers, there's been a lot of challenges when it comes to migrations. To some of our competitors in the past, they typically had to go through a lengthy process of re-architecture, whether it be re-architecting their VMs or networks. And then even furthermore, once you are within their cloud services, it's a completely different way of managing your environment. Really the goal of the hybrid cloud service is to make things as simplistic as possible for our customers when it comes to migrations, but as well management. So the key message here is the consistency across the board with really all these different hybrid cloud scenarios. So when it comes down to it, consistency across the board in terms of your storage footprint and formats and VMDKs, as well as expanding your layer 2 network as we touched on earlier, using your same network and IP addresses, same network and firewall rules, as well as a consistency in hypervisors. So any sort of vCloud APIs that you built out, scripts, templates that you're deploying VMs from, all those can be imported into the cloud so you don't have to re-architect any of those virtual machines.
So let me get this straight. So if the customer has made an investment in vShield, which is now network and security, they can take those rules that they've developed on premise and move them right into their cloud environment?
Exactly. And one of the things that's pretty important as well is that one of the tools that we include to really make that process even simpler is vCloud Connector, which is a VMware tool that helps our customers really connect 2 different endpoints. So basically a virtual machine that would sit at the customer site and their data center and ours, and really allows you to import all those same rules and have that stretch deployment.
Wow. Now, is there a cost for that tool?
No, that's all included with the service.
Oh, wow. That's fantastic. Okay. All right, let's go on to the next one here. So
within our hybrid cloud service, as I mentioned earlier, and the model, the way we're delivering this cloud is really based around subscription. So there's essentially a few different types of charges that our customers could expect, and it's always good to be clear and upfront on the way this cloud is structured. So as we touched on earlier, our customers would subscribe to pools of resources, compute, memory, and storage, and all those are consistent costs that customers can expect on a monthly basis. The only way those will change or expand or escalate is if customers themselves go through the portal and provision and purchase more capacity or memory and so forth. So those are what we call subscription charges. What you see at the bottom is required is essentially your minimum footprint, which we went over earlier. As well, the only other types of charges that can change on a day-to-day basis is based around usage. So currently we base bandwidth consumption off the 95th percentile billing model. So basically, with our internet connection, we would allocate, for instance, 10 megs of internet. Every 5 minutes throughout the month, we'll take a snapshot of the usage. At the end of the month, we'll knock off the top 5%, and our customers would be charged at that 95th percentile. So really knocking out those outliers, since we allow bursting, so our customers can get the bandwidth they require. And a little secret, though, is that we actually are not charging for bandwidth overages at this moment. So a nice thing to tap into. And as well, another usage-based charge would be on our OS catalogs. So we're actually building out different components based around how our customers like to use the service. Providing operating systems. Some are free, some, because of licensing agreements, are an optional opt-in charge, as well as an application catalog. For instance, licensing for SQL and other applications that you can actually provision and purchase through our portal itself. And then lastly, the third type of charge our customers could experience is a one-time charge with our offline data transfer. So we talked about the process of migrating VMs into our cloud, not having to reconfigure them, using vCloud connector and the Champions Group to help that migration process. But for customers who have larger data sets that are worried about congesting or clogging up their network, we can actually ship out a secure, encrypted storage device, upload your virtual machines and data, send it out to us, and we'll do an offline data transfer for our customers for a one-time charge. So real, quick summary, those are the three different types of charges our customers are going to expect: subscription charges, standard monthly fees associated to your cloud service, and usage-based charges around our operating systems and application catalogs and bandwidth consumption, and lastly, the one-time offline data transfer.
And Matt, then this is where Champion actually adds quite a bit of value for our customers. Around your service catalog, for instance, we're a Microsoft Gold partner, and we help our customers figure out, from a Microsoft standpoint, what's the best way to license the cloud. Because there, as everyone knows about Microsoft, there's a lot of different ways that you can actually use either an enterprise agreement or some type of licensing that you might already have in place, and take advantage of those licenses and not incur an extra charge, or in some cases where a SPLA or a monthly charge really makes sense, we can help you determine that right up front before you jump into the cloud. And then obviously on the data transfer, and I don't know if Dave wants to jump in here, but we have a lot of different options. Obviously, like you said, the encrypted device that can go out there, especially for the large transfers, that's usually the recommended way to do it. But there's a lot of people out there that just want to get a data set out there and not their full data center or their full data that they have on their production network.
Yeah, Kevin, thanks. I really appreciate that. This is a great way that our customers can continue to use a lot of the tools in their own personal business, whether it be software OS assets or application assets for your business, and spin them out into a cloud environment.
Okay, let me go on to the next one. I don't want to run out of time here.
Perfect. So one of the key components here to touch on is what we will provide. As you can imagine, with infrastructure as a service, really where we stop is at the hypervisor layer. So we'll provide, starting from the bottom up, we're partnering with data center providers. So it's a unique feature. So we're working with established data centers that are tier 3, tier 4, top-level data center facilities to provide secure, really secure facilities. So we'll provide all the infrastructure, obviously, when it comes to storage, compute, and that includes load balancers, firewalls, you name it. We're not going to nickel and dime our customers, and everything is built on really a highly available model. As well, we'll provide the OS catalogs, as well as application catalogs, the web consoles, vCloud APIs, and integration through vCloud Automation Center. And realistically, the only thing our customers need to bring to the table is their own VMs, their own software licenses. Everything else will fall upon us. So as well, anything that can be run as a VM can be run in our cloud. So customers who have their virtual firewalls, feel free to bring those in. Antivirus, any other types of tools they use for monitoring, can bring them into our cloud to use. So again, we'll provide all the infrastructure, facilities, the VMware licensing. Only thing our customers need to bring are their applications.
And one of the things that Champion adds to that, Matt, is you had mentioned monitoring, and we actually have a program called Watch, Aid, and Manage. And this is specifically built for the VMware environment, and now we've actually expanded it into the hybrid environment. So what we can actually do for our customers is monitor their infrastructure, look for any duplicate alerts and escalate those alerts. We can monitor and remediate health checks, patching in our aid program, or we can do a full infrastructure management and administration of all the devices that they have running in their cloud. So if you're looking for instance, full remediation, you're looking for someone to help you support your new cloud environment or your existing VMware environment, looking for root cause analysis, and even collaborating obviously with VMware and making sure that the right fix packs are on, or if there are new ones coming out with a known issue, that we get those to you as quickly as possible. From the aid standpoint, like I said, we do preventative maintenance. We do health checks for the environment. Make sure that you're at not just the VMware level, but the right patch level in the OS or even the application. And then for the people that are just looking for someone to monitor their environment on a 7x24 analysis, we also do performance monitoring and alert validation. And we can even take care of escalation. Dave Fivey, do you want to add anything to this? I guess not. Okay, I just wanted to show a little bit of extra value that Champion can add to the hybrid cloud. So, Matt, you had mentioned that there's a web interface, so I'll let you go through this maybe a little bit.
Yeah, so this is just a quick screenshot and a glimpse of what customers can expect when logging into our web-based user interface. So there is integration through your vSphere client, which can help through the migration and management of your VMs to the hybrid cloud service. But through our web-based user interface, which can be accessed essentially anywhere, this is what the customers can expect to see after they log in. What you'll see at the top in the green bars, those are actually not usage bars, but what's actually purchased and provisioned. So it gives you an idea of a glimpse of what you actually have allocated. And what's really unique to the dedicated cloud model is you see the boxes at the bottom where it says virtual data centers. Essentially, our customers who provision a dedicated cloud can provision and chop up their instance into virtual data centers, whether it be for different departments, different users, and so forth. So it gives a little bit more expanded use and really scenarios of how to tap into that sort of service.
So almost like resource clusters or resource groups inside their physical environment on premise.
Exactly. And I think actually one of the things I forgot to mention about our dedicated cloud, which is pretty unique, is that not only are the hosts dedicated, but you're not going to just receive one host. With VMware's model of driving the high availability, there'll be two hosts available for our customers, essentially one on standby.
Oh, fantastic. Okay.
Yeah. So I think just a quick glimpse, and of course, in the future, if you got anybody on the line who's working with Champions would like to see things in more further detail, we would definitely love to go through a demo of the interface.
Yeah, and that, Matt, as you know, we have it actually running here at Champion. We have the full vCloud director and suite running here at Champion. Plus, we also have our own hybrid environment so that we can demo this for customers. We can show them how things work, the interface. It's live. It's not a canned demo. So, we can actually walk you through. If you say, well, how do you do this or how do you do that? We can actually show that to customers live. Right over a WebEx like we're doing today, and really make it simple and easy for our customers to be able to grasp how this is actually operating.
That's great. One of the really unique things about our hybrid cloud service is it's designed really for legacy applications as well as the new next generation applications, whether it be big data or platform as a service. So already there's a library of over 3,700 applications and software packages that are already certified and established on VMware. So not only can we take care of your next generation applications, but as well those legacy back-ended ones that have already been virtualized. So rather than having to go to other providers, which would send you through the process of re-architecting applications, some that may not be completely stable, why not just import it's across the board. We have a wide range of customers ranging from different industries, but as well different use cases. So typically, initially, what we're seeing is customers starting out in the hybrid cloud service with an initial test phase, with whether it be more non-production applications like test dev environments seem to be a good way for an entrance into the hybrid cloud service. But as well, the conversations that we're having on a daily basis really relate to how do we get out of the business of managing the specific application and infrastructure and offload it to the cloud. So email and collaboration seems to be a hot spot of people wanting to offload Exchange. We all know that a lot of organizations are looking at how do I move that out to the cloud, whether it be through the hybrid cloud service or other providers. As well, three-tier web applications seem to be a very hot item to move into the cloud. And one of the really nice things of the stretch deployment and having this as an extension of your data center, you can also essentially have multiple tiers of applications communicating from two different sites. But more or less, three-tier web applications seem to be a very hot area for customers to move into the cloud. As well, disaster recovery is huge. I would say probably 50% of the conversations I have on a daily basis with customers is discussing their disaster recovery plans and backup plans. So rather than purchasing infrastructure at a secondary site or colo or building out a secondary data center for essentially an insurance policy that you may never use, why not replicate it to the cloud and have those resources and VMs sitting there on standby in case of disaster and be able to run production out of the hybrid cloud service.
Yeah, Matt, that's definitely one of the value-added services that Champions can be able to provide, is that we've come up with some pretty unique tool sets that allow real-time replication and failover into the VMware hybrid cloud.
Yeah, that's perfect. And I think disaster recovery is definitely the hottest area for customers' interest, and whether it be using, as you mentioned, other replication tools or VMware replication tools, there seems to be a lot of different approaches of way we can really help accomplish our customers' business continuity plans. And as well, I think it's important to mention line of business applications. This is not a cloud service where it's just for test dev, non-production workloads. We have many customers running mission-critical applications that require uptime to ensure that the business can continue on. So it is a production-ready cloud with multiple data centers throughout the United States and moving internationally. So definitely ready for our enterprise and small, medium customers to move over.
Well, Matt, I know at VMworld this year, at the keynote, they also mentioned that you were going to have desktop as a service available within the near future, available in the hybrid cloud. Is that correct?
Yep, that's a great point. So actually, in March March will be a big month for VMware. So we will be releasing virtual desktops as a service, so customers don't have to worry about deploying those licenses and absorbing that storage and I/O requirements. They can all be deployed in the cloud service, and that pertains to our acquisition of Desktone. And as well, actually, in March, we'll be releasing disaster recovery to cloud, essentially DR as a service. So we'll be able to ensure that through our customers' VMware data replication, we'll have a secondary site for our clients to replicate to, utilizing a version of Site Recovery Manager to essentially automate the failover and fail back in case of disaster. So currently, those are going through tests and trials and betas and early adopter programs, but they'll all be available in March of next year.
Wow, and let me ask you a question, because this comes up as a question from a customer too. Reliability, do you guys guarantee any type of uptime or any type of reliability with the hybrid cloud?
Yep, definitely. So for our virtual private cloud, our SLAs for at least uptime is 99.9%. For our dedicated cloud is 99.95%. And then actually another service that I forgot to mention is our data protection service. So included with the hybrid cloud service, we have a backup service that customers can opt into on a per VM basis. So through your management portal, you can choose which VMs within your cloud that you'd like to have backed up. So through that service, we'll have a 30-day rolling backup schedule that'll be conducted full backups at the VMDK level nightly from midnight to 6 a.m. and it'll be on a 30-day schedule. So once day 31 rolls around, the oldest one would drop off. can be seen at the vCloud.vmware.com website.
Wow, you guys have thought of everything.
Exactly. And so, lastly, I definitely won't bore everyone by reading out the unique value propositions, but I think we've hit on a lot of them today. Really, delivering agility to the business and having the ability to deliver applications in really essentially minutes versus hours, days, or months is a pretty unique proposition for our customers, as well as having minimal risk when adopting a cloud strategy. There are a lot of concerns around security, migrations, and management, but having really the same support number and contacts and to leverage your existing licensing by importing your VMs into the cloud really removes a lot of the obstacles and risks, and as well the lower cost to adoption. So within the resource pool model, not only do you have some consistency in ways of budgeting, but as well a lot of C-level executives really are starting to be more favorable to operational expenditures versus capital expenditures. So again, delivering IT as a service, being proactive, and actually having a monthly cost associated with it is definitely very helpful. Again, this is another quick summary slide, but just to wrap things up, I think the key points to take away from this is that VMware has a production-ready infrastructure as a service offering. We take care of all the infrastructure, all the way up to the hypervisor. The only thing our customers really need to bring are their own VMs. And really, how we're making this extremely simple and easy for our customers to adopt is, again, when migrating to the hybrid cloud service, we're going to make it as simple as possible, but partnering with Champion Solutions Group as well to go through those migration processes, but no need to re-architect your VMs. Be able to stretch deploy your networks. And as well, having resources on demand for really those mission critical times, whether it be for bursting or need additional resources. So in quick summary, I definitely appreciate everyone's time and looking forward to hopefully having some further, more detailed conversations.
Well, Matt, we really appreciate your support, and I hope people have gotten the vision that we got of how this thing is really going to change the way people think about how they're virtualizing their environment, where their resources can be run from, how their end user community can access those resources. And with that in mind, Champion has tried to add really some value around the VCHS or the vCloud hybrid service. And like Dave said, we have the ability to help you migrate some of your workloads in there without having any downtime. And Dave, I don't know, Dave Fyvie, I don't know if you want to go into a little bit of detail about that?
Yeah, sure, Kevin. I mean, the bottom line is that doing offline moves aren't necessarily always an option when you have a transactional type workload, and you can't really necessarily have these things offline for some time. So we've been able to come up with methods that basically, without getting too technical, we put a shim in the operating system that allows it to replicate, out to the cloud while the machine is up and servicing workload, and then that way you can have a clean and scheduled cutover of when you want to move these things out. The other benefit to that is that there's a fallback plan in the event that you have some challenges, networking or otherwise, that were unforeseen. You have a way to pull these things back out. So it works very well.
And because of that, Dave, we can use this same type of tool for a failover and failback scenario when it comes to disaster recovery, right?
That's exactly right, Kevin.
Okay. And then, of course, we talked a little bit about our Watch, Aid, and Manage program, where we can monitor, we can help you keep this thing up and running, help you patch it, help remediate any problems. And these are things that Champion can add to the VMware offering. So our next steps, and VMware right now through the end of the year is offering a 1-month free trial of the vCloud hybrid service. So, with Champion, we can actually help you move some workloads up there, get this thing up and running, show you how it works. And like I said, it is a 30-day free trial that you can cancel at the end of 30 days, and there's no cost to you. But, obviously we're thinking that, once you get it up there that you're going to want to keep it there, and we can talk about, how we can help you with that. Champion can give you, like I said, a guided tour of how the vCloud hybrid environment works. Like I said, we're running it here at Champion. It's not a canned demo or go to a video or anything like that. You know, Dave and his team have spent a lot of time in getting this thing up and humming and working really, really well to show you how this thing can help your business and help you really meet some of those SLAs that the business units are looking for. We can also help you evaluate what your requirements are, and Matt mentioned this because you don't really know how much you need from a resource, from a storage, from a bandwidth, and Champion can obviously help you do that. We talked about the mic. Go ahead.
One of the other major key points on that, Kev, I want to point out is that a lot of the times folks don't necessarily know about some VM sprawl issues that might be in the environment, some stale VMs, things of that nature. So it can be a real cost savings to a company for us to be able to come in and point out, things that are basically, we need to trim the fat before you go and move this stuff out to the cloud and be paying monthly for it.
We see that all the time in the production environments, don't we, Dave?
Absolutely.
All right, and then obviously Microsoft licensing. It's always a challenge, and it's an area where Champion has really helped customers save money and get the most out of what they already own. So, we have an 800 number here, 800-771-7000. You can speak to a vCloud specialist here at Champion. We are going to be following up. Those of you that join this, just following up with a phone call. Make sure that we've answered all your questions. I am going to open it up to questions, so if you want to ask Matt or Dave or myself any questions, please hit *6, and we'll try to answer any of your questions. I'm trying to get done in the allotted amount of time.